on your store shelves. This is the most up-to-date information and aggregated from a whole bunch of you, letting us know what store shelves, what's missing, what products are going in short supply right now, and even a little bit about what's going on with the pricing. Before we get into that, let's jump first into Texas. There is a winter storm that's happening right now. The Texas Energy Regulator has issued a warning to all oil and gas companies in the region to let them know that there's potential for freeze-offs and that they need to be prepared for that. Of course, natural gas coming out of the ground has water vapor in it, and when it hits those cold pipes, it has a tendency to freeze, and it can build up to the point of closing up those pipes so that they can't get any natural gas out of the ground. Some of those go straight into power plants, and so that is very concerning because those power plants aren't going to have the natural gas they need in order to operate. Of course, as the cold temperatures drop, we will see power consumption and needs for electricity to rise. So as power plants may actually start coming offline because they can't get the natural gas, you also see the demand for those power plants to be operating. These are some of the things that we've seen in the past. So if you are in the Texas area, be prepared for potential blackouts, be prepared for the cold temperatures, of course, and natural gas issues out there. Or if you're in the oil and gas industry, be prepared for things like that too. All right, Lynn in north central West Virginia says, local shop and save. Distilled water is in short supply, and the brand has changed to one that seems to leave some residue in my CPAP machine, and is also 81 cents higher than the original brand. Chicken is in good supply, but the price is up. Yes, we're seeing chicken prices up across the board, aren't we? Hamburger is as expensive as roast is now. We're seeing these weird price fluctuations, aren't we? Where things that are normally more expensive are now cheaper, and we're seeing that all across the board. Eggs have gone through the roof and short supply like everywhere else. Cheese at the deli is almost $10 a pound. Lettuce is non-existent, and the lettuce spot has been filled with stuff that looks like turnip greens. So we're seeing them replacing products with other products that they want us to buy instead. And if you want to eat weeds, why would you pay lettuce-like prices? There is that question. Born Again Barbarian says, we went to 3 different grocery stores here in northern Maine a few days ago. They were all out of carrots. They did have a few bags of the pre-cut types of carrots, but no regular size carrots. So if you're in the New England area, do be aware that carrots may be in short supply. I haven't heard that widespread yet, but if you guys are seeing carrot shortages out there, let us know. You can always give us updates by popping a comment in a video of any video. Use the word update in the comment and give us some sort of geographical location and let us know what's missing, what's in short supply, whatever. You can also email me directly at popularpreparedness@gmail.com. The says, in Virginia, eggs are back up to $5.76 a dozen for large. Still almost nothing in pasta. Fruit and grain cereal bars, gallon distilled water, cold and flu, and children's meds. Dry cat food, as well as, the produce is looking especially nasty, especially cucumbers. So that's not a good report for sure. If anyone else is in the Virginia area, let us know if you're seeing similar things. Egg prices at $5.76 a dozen is very high price. Not seeing that anywhere else outside like California. So hopefully things are getting better. Not sure where you're shopping. But JH in East Texas, Walmart is all stocked except for brown sugar. Overall, really good. Yeah, I'm not sure why brown sugar would be potentially out. I've heard of a couple of spotty people mention brown sugar here and there, but it shouldn't really be an issue, and hasn't been an issue in a lot of places. So KD, but we all need to come down there for Texas, one of those free states, to make sure we don't have those shortages. Seems to be going a lot better down there in some of those states. KD in rural central Missouri Even the local Mennonite Bent and Dent store is having long sections of bare shelves, especially in the areas of canned beans, noodles, canned fruit, canned fish, and cereals. So the Bent and Dent does seem to be appearing on the store on regular store shelves, and is just getting dropped in home deliveries, getting dropped in bags of people who are there for pickup. I've experienced that, and I've heard a number of you guys talking about that as well, that it seems like you get more bent and dented cans when you go for pickup and when you get home delivery. So when I'm getting my Keystone meats, I don't want bent or dented cans, so I always go in and get those off the shelf myself. So, Monkey Blue in southern Ontario, Canada, halfway between Niagara Falls and Toronto, almost no baby or toddler formula on the shelves at Shoppers Drug Mart, which is a Loblaw's grocery store subsidiary. Also no over-the-counter infant or children's pain or cold meds. We're seeing the same thing with the over-the-counter meds here in the United States, but a lot of the areas seem to be getting a lot better with the baby formula. Here in Pennsylvania, things to be doing a lot better with the baby formula. That is a state-by-state thing here due to regulations in the United States, but I know some areas in the U.S. are having issues with the baby formula as well. But I don't know if that's a Canada-wide thing or not. Jimbo the Jimbro, says in regional Victoria, Australia, we're seeing security guards at the Coles supermarket now, probably to stop shoplifting as the cost of living goes up. Yeah, we're seeing that all over the U.S., more security barriers, that kind of stuff going in, and due to the shoplifting, it's rough out there. Dave at the Aldi in Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, no sugar. Lettuce is now the size of a softball. Never seen lettuce this small. On the lighter note, they had leftover Christmas spiral hams for 49 cents a pound. And Walmart has lots of dog food missing. So, the lettuce size keeps shrinking, of course. We're having issues with lettuce, amongst many other things. And that's a good price on ham. Mocha 82 in upstate New York. Went to Walmart yesterday morning. Frozen vegetables all seemed fronted. No heavy cream at all. And very little half and half. Regular milk shelves seemed half full. Cereal seemed surprisingly full until I started looking at the dates. Had to move several boxes to get one that didn't expire in just a couple months. Do be checking those prices and those dates on things, folks. I know a lot of you have mentioned how you've taken things home, you've started to log them into your inventory system, only to realize how short dated those things are. Get into the practice of checking the dates, even on dry goods and everything like that, at the store to make sure things are still good. There may be another option on the shelf, whether it's a different variety or digging further back on the shelf to find more appropriately dated stuff. James in Auburn Hills, Michigan, has 24 eggs for $6. That's actually a really good price, at least right now. Meat in the bins seemed a little thin, and Aldi has been out of frozen broccoli florets. Tried several stores. They did have canned wet cat food and corned beef hash in for a change. So that is good news out there on the corned beef hash and the cat food. Lenbo, egg update in Northeast Pennsylvania. 1 dozen is $4.59. That's a little more of the prices I'm seeing here. Yeah. 18 packs don't last my shift at the store. We're only getting 3 cases delivery. And folks, we're hearing that all across the board, that there's just not enough eggs getting to the store shelves. And so it's causing not just price increases, but also egg outages, right? Cheesecake says Amish are selling eggs at $8 a dozen. They're selling laying hens at $25 a hen. This is kind of what we're seeing out there, and unfortunately, if you're planning on getting chickens at home, you may have missed the boat a bit because they used to be $3-4 a chick, and we're now hearing $15+ across the United States per chicks. There's just a shortage of chickens out there, just as there's a shortage of eggs. Go figure. The things that you're doing today do impact the opportunities that you're going to have tomorrow and the next day. This video is brought to you by Genesis Gold Group, and if you want to move your retirement funds from stocks and bonds over to gold, silver, or platinum, you might want to talk to Jonathan down in the description down below. Jaffa says Eggland's Best cage-free organic eggs are cheaper than my store brand. I also handle orders and still don't get Eggland's. Prices on everything have gone up really high. Notice people are buying baby formula in bulk, and when I do markdowns, I am surrounded by people buying things they can't afford. Just because it's on sale doesn't mean we should be buying it, right? Buy the things that you need and focus in your finances so that you're buying good things. I don't know about you, if there's any other evening Amazon shoppers out there where you might be up past your bedtime buying stuff on Amazon. I've made it a practice now that I don't buy big things in the evening. If I want it really bad, I put it in my shopping cart, but then I wait until the next day when I'm in the morning, I can decide whether or not that needs to be purchased or not. I seem to think a little more clearly once I've been awake for a couple hours in the morning. So that's a good practice that's helped me. But if you're trying to get your budget in order, just really paying attention to where the money's going out so that you have money to spend on preps and on long-term investments like canned food and other foods. That's what I got for you today. If you have an update, pop it down in the comments down below. Use the word update. Give us a geographical location, or you can email it at popularpreparedness@gmail.com. If you found this video useful or helpful, you might want to check out this video right here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar out.
They say it's electrical sabotage. A new report out from the FBI is warning that there are neo-Nazi groups that are plotting to attack the power grid across the United States of America. They're placing the entirety of discontent and malcontent toward an agenda-driven group. This is our future. As a string of attacks, they say, on electrical substations unfolded in the last couple of months, the Federal Bureau of Investigation warned utility operators of white supremacist plots, they warn, to take down the nation's most powerful power grids and leave hundreds of thousands of people without access to the things that they need for daily life. The report shows a white pickup truck. It had a roof rack. It had lights. It was pulling in quickly to an electrical substation in the small town of Morton, Washington, about 70 miles south of the Seattle area. This happened a couple of months ago. In the pre-dawn dark, as the report claims, next to the city cemetery, a man who was clad with a black hoodie and a baseball cap quickly got out of his vehicle. He broke down a steel gate. Likely, they say he used a crowbar because one was later found at the scenes, though they couldn't recover any of the prints. He walked inside the fenced-in facility, they say, on a way to sabotage high-voltage transformers. They say that these transformers and the plans on how to take them down are widely circulating on neo-Nazi or white supremacist group outlets. Soon, they will say it is also religious extremism. There will be no mention of it being any other parties or outlets. They say electrical substations transform high voltage electricity to lower voltages. This is what we need inside of our homes to keep food cold in our fridge and freezer, to keep our lights on, and of course, to keep our medical devices operating. It's the electric that we need to keep our phone lines charged and our internet accessible. They say substations can be difficult to secure on an industrial level. industry-wide. Damaging just one can set off a severe chain of events that they are warning could send our entire country into chaos. Opposing this report that it is just the neo-Nazis or white supremacists, we are seeing groups right now stand up and say, wait a second, can't we say it might be the other guys? They are dividing us among extremist groups. There's no shortage of people who could be claimed as being an extremist. If you like Skittles, you're an extremist. If you believe in the Church of God, then you are an extremist. You're a Muslim, you're an extremist. You're an atheist, you're an extremist. They're going to label you one way or the other. Now, the reports warn that attacks like these are happening with dangerous frequency. There have been 15 reportedly acknowledged attacks in social and mainstream media in a couple of months' time. Recent attacks are a hotspot. The Federal Bureau of Investigations is warning. This is according to a joint investigation by the Oregon Public Broadcasting System, as well as the FBI, local law enforcement, and other outlets. Researchers that delve deeply into extremist technology and social media sharing have noted that these groups are the ones that are calling for these attacks. Now, I'm going to remind you that we saw video and we heard audio over the course of the last 2 years during riots that did take place across the United States of America. There were calls at that time for attacks to bring the whole system down, shut down the internet, take away the police. Now, federal officers are right now reviewing new power grid and security station attacks across the USA, from down far as south as Texas and Florida, all the way up to New York and Pennsylvania. One outlet reports a quote, "The individuals of concern believe that an attack on the electrical infrastructure will contribute to their ideological goal to cause societal collapse and a race war in the United States of America." That isn't some leftist organization. That's according to a memo that was obtained by the public broadcasting system in one US state, taken right out of the FBI. The substation that they keep referring back to in Morton was attacked a couple of months ago. It's connected to transmission lines that deliver hydroelectric power from the Cowlitz Fall Dam. They say that the energy that runs through these lines is more than 500 times the voltage that comes out of your own outlets inside of your house. Experts say it's easily lethal and extremely dangerous for anyone to mess with these substations. That's likely just a mainstream ploy to get other people not to try to do this. Despite the danger, the Morton substation intruder, as he is noted in the reports, entered into the facility purposefully. He deliberately damaged known equipment. To avoid inspiring copycat crimes, we are seeing outlets omitting the details of the techniques that are used in these attacks and other similar attacks. But let me tell you, this information is easily found online. One person writes, "I saw a white flash through the garage door window." That's an eyewitness who was across the street. They say then the power shut off. The incident happened at 4 a.m. It took 7,500 customers offline. That is most of the eastern half of a Lewis County's rural area. They were plunged into darkness for several hours. And then we saw reports come up as we combed through different social media and investigative journalism through the police station. Then predators of opportunity struck. They say the intruder, after his deed was done, climbed back into the passenger seat of a truck, which sped off. They say it went to the north. According to other eyewitnesses, they have no further information. The incursion was the first of many attacks on the power grid in the year 2022. According to records that were obtained by reporting outlets, it's unclear if all these attacks are connected, but extremist researchers with the FBI say absolutely they are. As with most of them, no one has been arrested, and that's time for you to question why. No one has claimed responsibility, and now it's time for you to question why. How are these attacks connected, with no one claiming responsibility, no one getting arrested, and the investigations apparently dropped? We have utilities outlets out there, including the Pacific Northwest, that have reported a new surge in attacks. They're delivering this information directly to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Attacks on substations happened all across the Northwest. These, of course, predated December attacks in North Carolina, where 40,000 people, including a lot of our viewers and friends of the community, were without power. In some cases, they say the attacks appear to follow directly a manual that was given out online by what the FBI is calling neo-Nazi and far-right extremist white supremacist groups. Now, don't get me wrong. These groups do exist, as do their extremist counterparts on the other side of the political agenda. But what we have happening can only be one of two things. It is either a people or a group of people that have been pushed across their line in the sand, and now they are acting out in ways that have no regard for the byproducts or the other people that they harm. Or we have events that are being perpetrated by other powers. Right now is the time for you to question those exact things. They say for years, local law enforcement has worked with academia. They've warned that plots on the nation's electrical grid are accelerating. They say that we have these groups plotting and advocating right now to take down the power grid all across the country, to bring down the federal government, and to start different wars. We're seeing strings of electrical grid attacks happen unresolved across the nation. A recent alert from the FBI's headquarters and the agency's Newark field office warned of a new threat, a new increase, they say, of electrical infrastructural attacks. They say these attacks are happening directly with racial and ethnically motivated violent extremists behind them. They call them RMVEs. Racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists. These, they say, include people of white supremacy ideologies, accelerationists, people who are attempting to sow chaos. They say the FBI has received reports of threats to electrical infrastructure by actors who say that they are with the ideologies of these motivated extremists, and their want is to create civil disorder and to inspire violence across the country. This is starting to read like the beginning and opening scenes of a movie. Weeks later, a new bulletin was sent out by the FBI's office in Portland. This office reported specific attacks that were carried out around neighboring states. The attacks were carried out using firearms, flames and chains, hand tools. They say this was in response to an online call for attacks on critical infrastructure, according to new bulletins. This is a quote. In recent attacks, criminal actors bypassed security fences by cutting the fence links. They lit nearby fires and they shot equipment from a distance. No theft was reported in any of the cases, making it apparent that the intent was likely to disable electrical systems and not for any sort of monetary gain. Now, a spokesperson for the FBI declined to comment on the bulletins that were obtained, leaked out by their organization, but they said that all people need to begin reporting suspicious activity in and around substations immediately to local law enforcement. They say that this neo-Nazi plot to take down the grid must be stopped at all costs. They're calling these plots by these organizations to target infrastructure in the USA, and they say that these infrastructural attacks are going to increase in the next couple of years. This was a report published by the Program on Extremism at the George Washington University, saying we can expect this sort of thing to happen. The following is a quote. The rise of accelerationist ideology and doctrine during the past decade has fueled the increased risk of attacks and plots within these targeting organizations, hitting critical infrastructure in the energy sector in particular. The U.S. Department of Justice has charged a couple of individuals with what they're calling tangible or discernible evidence to different groups, but none of them have been charged with plots to destroy nuclear reactors, power lines, or anything else, according to the FBI's own reports. Other groups, extremist organizations, are threatening electrical infrastructure in the Pacific Northwest. In a couple of years period, federal prosecutors are said to have pulled in and charged with conspiracy to damage an energy facility multiple different people. They say these defendants carried out a handwritten list at a dozen locations in Idaho and surrounding states that each housed a transformer, a substation, or other components of the power grid that, if destroyed, would cause damage to that grid itself. The goal, according to federal prosecutors, is to attack the ability to create and generate electricity for the purpose of creating chaos, to provide cover, and an ease of which to escape in those areas in which they plan to undertake things like assassinations or other desired operations to further their goal of division and hate. We're seeing in-depth reports examining the rise of extremism across the USA, and it's only a matter of time until some of your ideas place you within one of these groups. In 2022, 3 different so-called supremacists from Wisconsin, Ohio, and Texas each pled guilty to conspiring to provide material support to terrorists, though a lot of the information between these guilty pleas were withheld behind closed doors. According to the Justice Department, each defendant agreed to take down different electrical substations in other areas of different countrysides using high-powered rifles. They believe it would bring about unrest, financial ruin, and eventually a division of the people, according to prosecutors. Even though the motives behind the 2022 attacks remain unclear, they say the history of what is happening has been and can be foretold. They say this history is a dangerous future for us all. We are in a real wave of domestic extremist violence right now, says Mary McCord. Right now, this has been increasing for several years. McCord, who is a former acting attorney general for national security at the Department of Justice, who now stands as a professor at Georgetown Law School, warns this is just the beginning. In many cases, it doesn't matter to these groups who actually carries out the attacks, McCord says, because just the facts that the attacks are able to take place allows them to sow the discontent and malcontent that they want. People might not want to know whether a particular attack on a power station or a power grid was part of an ideologically motivated plot, McCord says, or was it just done for criminal purposes? These organizations and others who are seeking to advance their own cause, according to McCord, for their ideological reasons, can use these causes to advance their purported goals, causing chaos, undermining the government, and changing general stability. One person, Joshua Fisher Birch, a researcher with the Counter Extremism Project, which is a nonprofit that tracks these groups and their online activities, says that the attacks all across the world have been energized only by people on the right side of political extremism. The recent substation attacks have been spoken about in glowing terms, they say, by members of these extreme right organizations, particularly the ones who want to sow chaos. Accelerationists, they call it. They say these accelerationists subscribe to this ideology and they want to push this chaos. Forums across the internet, they warn, provide instruction manuals for how to attack the substations, how to attack hospitals, how to take out postal services, how to do all of these different things. They aren't directly causing harm to an innocent civilian, but byproducts do cause harm. The design of the manuals online, according to the reports that we have seen and the investigative journalism that we have performed, invokes a subculture, I would say. This subculture is a representative of what we are going to face in the future. The manuals.
Okay, y'all, I wanted y'all to hear all this for yourself so you can start, grabbing what you possibly can before I lay back down and go back to sleep. I just heard this. I need these people to hear this. This ain't gonna be no joke here. America is no longer. They're no longer, y'all. Military trucks are lining up. There are reports that military trucks are lining up on the streets. For miles on the railroad tracks. So, and those are for the people who are going to be really upset and angry about food missing out of the stores. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to go ahead on and finish collapsing this country. And all of these people who are, in desperation for food to feed themselves and their little ones and what have you, they're going to be very desperate and angry and paranoid. Not paranoid, but they're going to be frightened. You know what I'm saying? So, and the main reason I did this video, because I want to know where's the, why do have military trucks? They're creamy colored military trucks. Why are they all lined up on these railroads in the South? Even my son say, even on my job, Mama, they just lined all up. They're all on TikTok reporting it. And I'm like, wow. It's for those who have civil unrest. Yep, that's what it is. So I want y'all to be watching out. And we get ready for these blackouts. Blackouts in the winter, that ain't good at all. But I told y'all about the blankets. Get all the blankets you possibly can, y'all. And I'm going to let y'all go. I'm out. Thank y'all for coming out. Nicole and Key and She and Golden and Teet and Sweet Tea, Mr. King. Thank y'all for coming out. Okay, bye-bye now. I'm getting ready to watch me a movie.